Thanks, folks. Thank you for attending. Tim Long is the COO of Gresham Worldwide. Many of you are seeing the name Gresham Worldwide for the first time. I'll explain to you how it came to be, and where it stands in our future. Next slide. Next. We've basically taken three companies, as Todd has mentioned, the Microphase, Entertech, and our Gresham Limited, and melded them into one cohesive group. All of our companies are at least 35 years old or older. All of them share some general attributes. They have blue chip customers. They all have significant backlogs, which we'll cover a bit down the road. And they all emphasize value-added services and design services. The reason that we selected and pulled together these three is because it gives us a global footprint and presence, giving us a head office in Phoenix, an office in Washington, D.C., operations center in Connecticut for North America, Salisbury, UK for Europe, and Carmiel, Israel for Israel and the Middle East. Next. Next. We offer bespoke technology solutions. We develop solutions for the requirements of our various customers. I'll let Tim talk about exactly how we do these technology solutions and why it's so important and so specialized. That puts us in a unique position where many of our contracts are totally sole source contracts, where we're the only people who can and will make some of these very key components for our defense customers around the world. Tim?
Yes, so offering our clients, many of our clients are it's a blue chip list of clients, including the U.S. Defense Department and the Ministries of Defense around the world, as well as a list of who's list of global defense contractors. But we build to our customers' specifications, and in that way, we have a way of limiting the field of competition. I hesitate to use the word sole source because there's always competition out there, but because we have these where we have designed customized products to our customers' needs, it is very difficult for our customers to go to alternate sources for a couple of reasons. One, these applications are embedded in defense platforms that, as Todd was referring to, have very, very long life cycles. And if you change that technology, then it causes a couple of ripple effects. You have to redesign the entire kit that our components go into or our solution enables. And then you have to retrain all the people who are maintaining those systems. So we design radio frequency, wireless communications devices, total end-to-end solutions as at Entertech with all kinds of missile launch guidance, command and control systems and such.
The summary of what we do is we provide solutions that are custom designed and we guarantee to manufacture and be on time and be cost effective. And so it really is that bespoke technology solutions. We don't just respond to bids, requests to bids. We actually work with our customers. Next. Next. Tim has really affected the turnaround of Entertech Systems. Entertech. Entertech is a multi-purpose turnkey operation based in Israel. It provides missile launching systems, missile tracking systems, missile test systems for the Israeli government, and also by way of some joint ventures into India and other countries that we cannot name coming from the Israeli market. We, again, provide solutions and services. We do full rack missile testing systems and command and control systems. We also do power supply, which is something you'll see throughout our presentation. In addition, we also have a medical division which provides intravascular catheter testing for Johnson & Johnson. Next.
Hey, JR, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
When I went to Israel to visit Entertech, I know that was in development, and I know that there was a contract earlier this year. I thought maybe could you touch a little bit more on the importance of that? I don't think people realize that Bioset is part of J&J. And can you maybe comment a little bit on the future of what you think we're going to be doing in medical there? I don't know if you can or not, but I know that when I saw it, I was pretty impressed.
Yeah, we currently provide a catheter system that tests the alignment and sets them up prior to use. These systems are used in hospitals with the Johnson & Johnson Biosense system. We are actually, this week, we've rolled out our start plan on our phase 2 second generation system with a view towards providing Johnson & Johnson and Biosense as well as other customers this really key technology that allows catheters to be used effectively and accurately around the world. So we see that, and we'll come to it in another slide, but we see this as a really big part of our business that doesn't move that far from defense. We're defending people's hearts and arteries.
Nice stretch, JR. Good job.
So yeah, it's a big part of it. I'll let Tim talk about microphase, as he's affected amazing turnaround there. When we came in, I'll tell you that we had to tell Todd and Will that you got about a week before we are obligated to shut the doors. Now it's just thriving, growing, and we're looking down the barrel of a great fourth quarter and a fantastic year next year with microphase. Tim?
Okay, yeah. When we came into microphase, we, in doing our due diligence, we saw the value in the company and in a significant backlog of orders that had definite due dates associated with them and dollars associated with those orders. And a great core of production workers who had stuck with the company through some very dark times. DPW came in, invested some capital that we requested to enable the company to buy parts and materials and let those people do what they do. They worked down that backlog, turned the company around from a significant loss to a significant gain, about a $2 million turnaround in gain in a single year. So, paid down accounts payable, things are current there. We've rebuilt that backlog as we've restored customer confidence in the company's ability to deliver, and we've got additional multi-million-dollar orders coming in this quarter. So it's a great story, and then the potential for growth going forward is, again, we are embedded with clients who have requirements going out for 15, 20, in some instances 50 years. So we've been fortunate enough to be involved with the F-35 program, and that program just continues to grow and grow with the U.S. Defense Department, as well as the militaries of countries all around the world. But we've involved in programs like the Patriot missile program, the B-1 bomber, the F-15, F-16, and the opportunities there at Microphrase, as Todd said, we made the decision to shut down. We got a memo from the Defense Department 2 hours later, and I had everybody back at work that Monday. We didn't miss a beat. And that's one of the great things about this business as well, is that we are somewhat insulated from the pandemic. In times of turmoil, defense budgets tend to grow. In this administration, of course, the U.S. Defense Department budget has grown significantly. But that's the case around the world with our customers. So Microphase is doing well and has a great future.
Next. Gresham Power is a company based in Salisbury, England, and it provides defense contract power systems for all naval applications. We currently provide product to the Royal Navy, as well as 9 other countries throughout Europe. Gresham has been around, I think, how long? 63 years. And we've taken on the Gresham logo because of its great heritage, because it really extends a power position for us. And we felt that it was a really good banner to be running under on a go-forward basis. We do submarines, surface fleets, and helicopter starters and the like. So it's a strong small business that we expect to grow into a large business. Next slide. Next. So this is the structure under DPW. The 3 are wholly owned subsidiaries. Next. Of Gresham Worldwide. Next. We've created a new brand with Gresham, and it's lived up to its reputation already. We have, through Tim and all the systems that we put in place, we have a total 0 COVID impact in terms of people becoming ill. We have a strong separation of work positions and working from home, and combining all of the systems that take into account family situations and the like. We've been lion-like in producing systems to make sure that we stood up and operated. All 3 of our companies are in some of the worst hotspots for COVID: Connecticut, New York, the UK, which is currently shut down almost completely, and Israel, which is completely shut down. But we're still operating. We're driving numbers stronger than last year, pre-COVID. I'm proud of them. The brand consolidation under Gresham Worldwide is going to give us a strong feel, a strong name, and a unity. All of our teams are very much behind it. We're going to retain the individual sub-brands as necessary for security clearances, safety certificates, and the like. We will be launching a new social media program, which will push the companies forward. Now, part of the lion-like tenor of the company is that we've gone back to basic blocking and tackling. Tim and I came in and we understood what we had to do was just good old-fashioned management, blocking, tackling, reaching out to our customers, talking to our customers, reaching out to our employees, building solidarity within the organization, getting salespeople on board and really pushing for growth, pulling ourselves out of the woe is me status and pushing us into the world is ours. And so everybody's embracing the Gresham Worldwide logo, and it's going to be something I think you'll see becoming internationally recognized. Next. One of the great things about the company, we have a backlog. We have a huge backlog of approximately $42 million. We have plenty of work to do. Part of our difficulties has been finding the right people to get it done and to make sure that it gets done on time, no returns, no customer complaints. We've seen that turnaround affected to the point where we're getting inundated with orders, and we're going to see a really strong fourth quarter as well as 2021 in terms of orders increasing and expanding. 42 million is a good platform for us to work off of, and I think that you'll see growth in Gresham itself, and Microphase is on track, and Entertech is on track for these growth orders. Some of these orders are really quite exciting and can't be talked about, but for instance, the Entertech growth is coming in a new missile system that's being done in conjunction with the U.S. and U.S. manufacturers, U.S. Contractors through Israel. So it's a really strong portfolio. It's something we can bank on. And so long as we keep our doors open and operate, these orders are going to get bigger and bigger. And hats off to Tim for turning 3 companies into one really smooth operating group. Next. The other thing we have a backlog, but we have a backlog not with Harry's Parts Department. We got some of the best names in the world in terms of our customers, and they're loyal. They've been working with us for 25, 30 years. They're thrilled about the turnaround that they've seen. We got on planes and went to see Saab. We got on planes and went and met our customers, which hadn't happened in some of these companies for 5 to 10 years before Todd and DPW bought them. So it was a big change. It builds confidence. It builds confidence within our own team that, wow, these guys really like us. And they're ordering more from us because we're doing a good job. So it's an all-around win-win of just getting out, dealing with the customers, and treasuring them as being assets of our company, not just somebody that's on the end of a telephone line. Next. Our market diversification, defense and aerospace. I will tell you today, I spent the greater part of early morning on the phone with a company that provides electronics for drone identification. It's something that we're looking to move into in terms of providing new products and new services, not just our existing product lines. Tim is also looking at other systems that we're going to be building our own IP and our own technology in. So I see us moving into UAVs, as mentioned here, and as well as new products to be offered to the military. Medical, we're currently doing our medical program primarily out of Israel. The plan for our phase 2 or generation 2 system is to provide it worldwide. Not only that, but using our infrastructure of Salisbury, Israel, and North America to provide global service, which is a really important component of what you have to do for the medical industry. We're also looking at telecoms and industrial, applications for our broadband and our other telecom products. Next. By the way, we are ITAR. Global footprint, I've already covered. We have the ability now to provide products and manufacture products from a high-tech defense-related position around the world. Next. By the way, Tim comes from a government relations background and is a really, it's how we met, and he's really strong in his communications and inroads into the government. I've talked about...
JR already told everyone he was CIA. We're good, man.
No, please don't. Not good. He's just a great relations guy. And he's going to kill you, Todd.
He probably could.
The other, as I talked about before, customization capabilities, it's the big difference. Provide solutions, provide technology, and provide product. That's what we do. We don't just rebox existing product. Next. 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 And we can run a slideshow every once in a while too.
JR, which slide do you want to be on?
Yeah.
Revenue trend or this one? You're getting a lag.
Oh, I'm sorry. Our design competencies are numerous. We just had the AS9100 inspection. Tim, why don't you talk about our certifications and particularly what we went through this week?
Okay, yes, we just completed our ISO 9001 second year surveillance audit. The auditors were particularly impressed with the progress the company had made. It is the ISO 9001-2015 and AS 9100 certifications are critical to all of our contracts. They're a requirement we maintain that quality management system in our contracts. So we cleared that, and the auditors deemed our management review, our SWOT analysis, and the executive initiatives to preserve quality as best in class. So it was a good audit for us. We also have certifications of all kinds of the mill standards and with the Royal Navy requirements in Gresham Power. We at Microphase and all of our operations have secure operations for working on classified work, and at Microphase we do have a secure compartmented information facility, otherwise known as a SCIF, where we conduct all of our tuning and testing of our products. We are actually working to take in-house several of the components that we use in assembling our finished products, and we'll be expanding our clean room at Microphase and adding additional certifications in that process as well.
These certifications are strenuous, they're difficult, but they're absolutely necessary. They're hard on a small company like us, but they allow us now to move up forward to be a much larger company. Next. I'll leave you to look at the numbers, but it's that we're seeing numbers that are going to pop through on Q3, Q4 in excess of where we are today. We're seeing an upward trend even in the middle of COVID, so we're quite pleased. Next. Next. This is where everybody gets to take shots at me and tell me that I'm consuming too much something. But we believe that we're going to hit for 2021 over 25, maybe 28 million, and move forward to 40 million for 2022. Significant growth platform. We expect to grow organically. This is reflecting primarily organic growth, but we also are very, very active in a process of evaluating various acquisitions that are pure accretive acquisitions, not turnarounds. Tim and I are tired of those. We'd like to add a lot more accretive acquisitions, and the market is right. We're being approached on a continuous basis for companies that would like to become part of us in a variety of different ways. Next.
Hey, JR, I think that's important for everyone to reemphasize that JR's team is not looking to make any acquisitions in the turnaround space anymore. And they're very active in looking at smaller defense businesses that can be accretive in these three categories. And so I'm very optimistic with what they're doing there on the accretive side. We made a really strategic decision, and I think JR and Tim got a little exhausted with having so many turnarounds right away. But I think we're seeing really good opportunities there, and I think that's something that JR and the team are doing great there.
Right. And we expect to realize perhaps even some in 2020, but certainly going forward, I'd like to see some parallel growth between organic and acquisitive, but accretive acquisitions going forward. Tim, I'd like you to talk a bit about the defense project, the defense growth.
Yeah, as I said before, the U.S. defense spending has done nothing but grow under this administration. And regardless of the results of the election, that will continue at least for the first 2 years of the next term, because the new administration, or if there is a new administration, will have no impact on the defense budget until really the third year of their term. But in times of uncertainty and turmoil, defense budgets are going to continue to grow. With regard to the U.S. environment where Microphase is operating, the air defenses, air programs are tending to grow the most. We are moving, we have several legacy programs with the B-1, the F-15, the F-16, Patriot, but we're also in programs like the F-35 and the B-2 bomber, which have life cycles that extend out into decades. The other side of the business, whether it's the U.S. operations or in the U.K. or Israel, is truly global operations in selling to the militaries and defense contractors all over the world, whether those be, JR had mentioned Saab, Indra in Spain, Aselsan in Turkey, and we're selling into the militaries and the ministries of defense in Commonwealth countries for Gresham power and into the Middle East. The only impact that the pandemic is having in terms of our growth is just limiting our ability to go out and meet with people in person. But all of these programs are growing and expected to continue to grow at a very healthy rate over the next 5 years, and driving organic growth for us and making acquisitions that much more attractive.
And how about this for, I never thought I'd live to see it. We've been contacted by the UAE and 2 other Middle Eastern companies to produce a product for them in Israel. It's a strange world we live in now, but it's one where the defense markets are growing in different ways, and it puts us in a very strong position. Next. As you mentioned, we're actively involved in procurement and foreign military support. There's a number of programs that we're participating in that we're not at liberty to discuss in great detail. Next. The India partnership is one we can discuss. It's a program where the U.S. government is funding a military offset project, and they get credit from buying products from outside of India, and we're working with them to provide product directly through this procurement system. Next. Next. Tim?
Yeah, so for the next couple of years, JR and I will be focused on the base, which is really the defense business and the opportunities before us in the military markets. However, the technologies that we have developed for defense applications in the telecommunications arena also have tremendous potential within the telecommunications infrastructure market, as well as in enabling the Internet of Things, where devices increasingly are going to be talking with the Internet and controlled through the Internet. So the demand for wireless communications devices is going to continue to escalate over the next decade or two. And so we are looking, this is one of those areas where we are looking at developing our own independent IP based on the technologies that we have created in the defense market and market those into the major telecommunications carriers, as well as the purveyors of consumer electronics and other devices that need to be able to communicate wirelessly with the internet.
And it's part of our program to not only do what we have done for 45 years well, but to really start kicking in a bit of R&D to build for the future. Next. Here's the executive team is quite thin at the top at the headquarters office. Unfortunately, you're stuck with me for a while. Tim Long is an outstanding executive. I've worked with him for almost 15 years now. He's a recovering lawyer by trade, but has been in defense and aerospace sectors for 40 odd years. David Katzoff is our Senior Vice President of Finance. Next. Recap: strong, enduring customer relations, substantial backlog, global footprint, enduring brands, and very significant opportunities for rapid growth. I believe very strongly that we're tracking to be a $100 million company within 3 years. And it's very, very doable. It's a very exciting time to be in this space. And it's an attractive investment for DPW, and they've done the right things. I have to stress that DPW has acted now like a holding company, where they have provided us with support, provided us with finance, oftentimes not as much finance as we'd like, but that's a perpetual problem for companies like ours, Barosha's appetite to build and grow. But DPW has acted like a turnaround company. They've taken us and they've allowed us to turn around the companies and create great value where very little was existing when they bought them at the right price. But now it's going to be inured really strongly to the shareholders. Next. And that's about it. It's a pretty boring company in terms of product, but exciting company in terms of prospects.
Hey,
Thank
JR, you can hear me okay, right? So I do want to emphasize to everybody, and I appreciate JR and Tim presenting. There is an executive at Entertech that couldn't be with us, is Vika. There's a great team over there in Israel, and as JR and Tim talked about, an important part of what they do around the world in terms of military stuff, a really good leader over there that JR works with really well. But it's no secret that JR wants to bring the company public. DPW has actively been exploring, we've said this to the public, the idea that Gresham someday would be a public company. JR, do you want to make any comments about that? I know we can't really say much, but maybe in general what your thesis is, because I know that one of your frustrations is that other defense companies trade at multiples to revenue, and we don't even trade at 1x revenue. Maybe you could give a comment on what your thoughts are about the future there.
Sure. The space right now is filled with small little companies that are owned by 70-year-old founders that haven't done their family planning correctly, and they're looking for exits. The big boys, the Raytheons and whatnot of the world, have no interest. They're, in fact, actively jettisoning the small boutique type of operations and trying to get them off of their plate. So it affords us this great opportunity to buy the companies, cash flow positive companies, earnings positive companies at very attractive rates. We're looking at deals at about 1x, under 1x, when the market for us is 2 to 2.4x in terms of revenue. We will not look at anything if there's red ink on the bottom line. We will only look at products that are similar to ours in the same space, add value to our brand, and the brand is going to be something that we're really pushing. By pulling these small companies in under one brand, we're going to have the strength of engineers in Israel, engineers for power systems in the UK. So we'll have other strengths to add to these small companies. And it is a Harold Janine strategy corrected for the modern day growth of a roll-up company in the defense systems. And so there is room for another L3. There is room for a really aggressive, strong, positive acquisition strategy, and taking it public and recognizing for the shareholders the successes we have in the turnarounds, the successes we have in buying right. And Todd shared a lot of that vision, and DPW has done a good job of acting as a parent company to help us grow.
I think JR and Tim did a fantastic job. I think the only thing I would reiterate is when JR makes the comment about where he sees the business in 3 years, he's referring to simply Gresham Worldwide, not DPW Holdings on a consolidated basis, which I think it goes without saying, but I just want to make sure everybody understands that.
Okay, we appreciate Tim and JR.